without further ado, I am very, happy because I haven't seen him in ages. Miikka from Xsolla is going to talk to us. So Miikka's going to hopefully come online any second. And we're going to be talking about finding new audiences. Oh, apparently he's not quite here yet. Sorry, I missed that note. So Miikka will be there shortly. I think Miikka's been having a few technical issues. So one of the reasons why I like doing the Monetiser track itself is because I find the whole principle about how we get the balance between finding the awareness, interest, desire, and action of a player and making sure that we get the best possible revenue for that game. Thinking about what makes the players excited and desire the experience of the game and how we satisfy that through various means. I've been doing a lot of work looking at how you can take principles from mobile and PC and bring them together to find more consistent ways to be able to create, sensible, affordable revenue opportunities. But there's another aspect to this, and that's that we're not just talking about in mobile games, we're not just talking about revenues, we're also talking about audiences. So we have this fantastic kind of opportunity in games, mobile games in particular, which is very different than almost any other medium. There are very few mediums where you can actually both attract revenue by showing advertising inside games, particularly through rewarded models, but also where you can actually identify audiences through other means as well. So we're doing a lot of work with those guys to try and work out, with lots of games industry people, to try and work out what the best balance is to make sure that you don't annoy people and you create these greatly emotionally positive experiences through playing games. So I think we have Miikka has now arrived, I believe. We'll find out in a second. There he is. So yeah, Miikka's here now. So Miikka, as I say, is from Xsolla. Miikka's got a great background. He's been involved in a whole bunch of stuff. I think a tilting point, weren't you? I think you were in. I forget because I've seen you for such a while. I'm trying to think all the different places I've known you when you were, and you've done some amazing stuff. And obviously you're now at Xsolla. Superscale. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. I've been around 15 years on mobile, so it's
that's like crazy.
It's been a crazy ride.
Exactly. Well, anyway, it's lovely to see your face, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say. Tell us all about finding new audiences for your mobile games.
Yes. So I'm going to do my screen sharing here.
Cool. I'll turn my camera off, but I'll let you know if I can see the screen share.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. So it should be visible, yeah?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. So hello, everybody, first of all. I hope everyone is healthy and doing good today. And today I wanted to talk to you about the opportunities that lie beyond mobile platforms and how to find new audiences by going cross-platform. And today we have only about 20 minutes on the presentation, and then we do a Q&A. So it's going to be brief, but hopefully opens up the curiosity for everybody about this topic and kind of expanding beyond mobile platforms. And at Xsolla, we see actually mobile market as a huge opportunity to offer for more freedom for developers to sell their experiences directly to their players while being able to grow their games beyond the restrictions of the mobile app store. So today I'm going to take you on a ride to the likely future that's going to definitely be more cross-platform than today. Okay, so we started there off a little bit. So who the heck am I? I'm Miikka Luotio. I'm originally from Finland, currently based in Berlin, Germany. I've worked in the mobile game industry for actually over 16 years now. So I've been counting it in a variety of companies and roles, from anywhere from producer, business development to product management at companies like Rovio, Wooga, Tilting Point, the Superscale. And I currently work at Xsolla as the interim director of business development for Europe. So that's me. All right, so what is Xsolla anyways? So we started as a company over 15 years ago, and we've been handling transactions for video games ever since. And our offices are in Los Angeles, Perm, Russia, Korea, and Berlin. In essence, Xsolla is really a video games business and transaction engine. So what that means is we actually enable publishers and developers of all size to market, sell, and optimize their games, no matter the platform. Okay, so I want to start my presentation today by talking about the current top grossing mobile games of 2020 first, and the ones that have a cross-platform version. So kind of get a look at the last year before we talk about this year. So I found a few interesting tidbits here when looking at the ones that have indeed a desktop or a web version available. So there's the obvious suspects like PUBG, Fortnite, Genshin Impact that was released last year, late last year. So that was a pretty successful launch. But also I noticed a little over a week ago, Raid Shadow Legends released a PC version just over a week ago. And if you haven't checked it out, it's actually pretty good. So that's an interesting trend of where the market is definitely going. So we see more and more these highly crossing mobile titles are kind of looking into having a full cross-platform, or you could say multi-platform strategy. All right, so let's talk about this year and the key challenges for mobile game publishers and developers alike. So number one challenge is really discoverability. Still, I mean, this is the age-old issue that's still there, and it's more saturated by the year. And how to make your game seen in the case you don't get featuring or you don't get that launch virality amidst the sea of hundreds or I guess even thousands of games being released weekly globally, if you think about it. And one way to approach this challenge is to take your game to new platforms and increase your visibility. And I will be talking about some of the benefits and opportunities with that approach. And number two challenge, and this is a big topic, of course, right now, I'm sure here at PGC as well, and it's on the mind of everybody who works in the industry. The number two challenge is really the IDFA deprecation coming into effect, and this is left many asking whether they can reliably predict their return of investment from their marketing campaigns as they were able to. And really the short answer is not as well as they did before. So no matter what sort of programmatic algorithms you have at play, it's definitely a more foggy prediction that you're doing, especially at higher spends. And it's important to consider different strategies like diversifying your spend across new platforms is definitely a more sure way to tell exactly how you're spending and how your marketing is performing. So being able to kind of spread around your marketing budget that you may not be able to use due to the IDFA deprecation coming to play. And one thing to note is on web and PC, if you are releasing the game, on a website or something like that, where you own that site and you own the space, you can really own the tracking. So there's no limits to attribution you can do on the web or a PC version if you use a launcher. So number 3 and 4 challenges. So scaling to the app stores, I mean, it's always been a challenge with that 30% platform tax, if you will. Whereas PC and web, if you're selling directly through your launcher or your website, your game, and basically you're providing your game there, obviously that scales better because there's no 30% cut that anybody's going to take you out of that. So your UA profitability will be better straight from the back. All right, so let's talk about the telltale signs that we've seen some of our partners have and the reasons that they've come to us. So this is pretty interesting because like all of you who work with publishing or development, you can certainly check for these signs. So number one is obviously the pretty obvious one. So you really reach the plateau in game growth, and you realize that the only way to really grow is to add new platforms. And usually the sign for this is when you're doing paid marketing, for example, or trying to scale the game up, you're trying to increase the marketing budget, your game has been on the market for a couple of years, and you're just able to increase it in increments, but it's kind of steadied out. And that's a good sign that, hey, maybe you should consider this kind of strategy. Number 2, BlueStacks. So BlueStacks is an emulator for Android phones that you can actually allows you to play any apps or games that are made for Android on PC or Mac. So what we've seen is some of our partners actually noticed in their metrics that many of their whales or big spenders or kind of VIP players are actually playing their game through BlueStacks while they're doing joining webinars and conferences or doing Zoom call, and they're playing their game on their side loaded here on their desktop. And that's definitely like if you're able to see the metrics that a lot of your big spenders are actually, this is their main way of playing. That should be a good telltale sign that maybe you should consider a cross-platform version on the desktop. And then number 3, IDFA, as said before, it will make it harder to exactly track your marketing campaign performance as we were able to before on mobile space, which means that really the more you spend, the less accurately you can spend it, right? So that's in a nutshell. I mean, there's all kinds of people saying all kinds of things, but it won't be as trivial as it was before. That's for sure. And number 4, really something to consider here is the issue that how your game controls are utilized. Because when you think about like, oh, I just want to put my game on desktop, well, the issue is that games that are heavy on controls, really like engaging tactile touchscreen controls, don't really convert that well. I've seen that at Rovio. When I was working at Rovio, we had pretty much quite a shotgun approach for Angry Birds, like putting it on every single device available, where in many cases you can really see that if you take a very tactile touchscreen game and you put a mouse cursor on it, it takes away the fun. So I mean, that's something to always consider. All right, so let me talk to you about a recent case with one of our partners, Nexters, and their game Hero Wars. And Nexters, they came to us with the challenge of wanting to grow Hero Wars and scale it beyond what the mobile app stores could provide. So they reached a plateau in a sense there. They were looking for new audiences and finding those new audiences for their game in order to grow their product more. And the solution for this challenge was to really take their mobile game, port it to web using WebGL, building a dedicated site where players can actually play Hero Wars directly on their browsers without having to install the mobile version. So at Xsolla, we integrated payments for the in-app purchases, like pretty much what you normally get, what normally app stores actually do. So they have their store APIs and whatnot. We gave them the support for the in-app store and also the customer support for all the transactions that they're doing. Also, player inventory management. So when you buy something on one device, we enabled them that item will be available on all devices you play, right? Because we're talking about cross-play and not just cross-platform. The results were great, actually. Nexters found good improvement in the conversion rate. They reached new markets with local payment methods that we were able to provide, like Japan, and are now able to grow and scale their game further than ever before. And a testament to that is, just to give you an idea, so in 1 month, their users made transactions via 245 different payment options and increased their revenue by 10x during our partnership. 10x. So that's an encouraging story, I would say. Okay, so which platform to expand? So, we talked about the web a lot, but there's obviously more. There's like PC is an option for some games, like Raid Shadow Legends, like I highlighted earlier. They've done that route of going straight to PC. So let's talk a bit about the opportunities and challenges with each approach. So due to the improved browser support, like WebGL is finally ready for prime time, and this is like, this is the reason why I'm speaking. These companies are coming to us and they're like, hey, wait a minute, we can have enough, penetration in the market by doing a WebGL game because enough browsers support it, right? And it's a good option for games that are 3D or visually demanding. So that's really the enabler there as well. And it's especially good if your game is built using Unreal or Unity, because both of those engines are building like on a daily basis, improving the ability to support a WebGL version while you're working on mobile. For web games, it's important to remember the cost per acquisition will actually, because on web games, if you have a WebGL version of your mobile game, it's not cost per install because there's no install process. So the cost per acquisition is really lower, usually what I've seen, versus mobile. So it's actually cheaper to acquire users on a web version. Obviously, also the fact that they don't have to install anything and the game loads instantly and they go to the page helps as well. And also, you have to remember the web allows for larger screen real estate for social, chat, and community features to be side-loaded. And of course, the same for PC. I mean, you're gonna have much more screen real estate, so you can have multiple features that really your core players, your VIPs can have all the social interactivity and chat and clan activities visible while you're playing. HTML5 is another good way to take your mobile game to web, but it's more suitable for simpler and lighter games, but also enjoys better browser support as WebGL still. I mean, but obviously WebGL is improving on a daily basis on how browsers are supporting it. Of course, PC, last but not least, is the best for immersive experience, but with that, player expectations increase dramatically. So keep that in mind. So if you launch a PC version of your mobile game, one thing to note, it's very important to consider using a launcher. The reason for that is if you have a launcher, it allows you to really own your player data and tracking and all of that. So build your customer base in a good way. All right, so what to expect when going from mobile to web, or let's say mobile to PC. So first of all, the key factor in deciding whether you should invest the resources into porting your game to other platforms, it's a big decision to make, right? So what I've seen before is some of our partners done a simple test campaign to, with a vertical slice demo of the game or a prototype before investing fully into the project. So basically uploading a sort of first playable version of WebGL or even a PC version, and trying a quick user acquisition campaign to see how your cost per acquisition could be. Would it be cheaper? And also, what is your day 0 and day 1 engagement? And if you see a positive response to that in the KPIs as well, that can give you the kind of like last push to actually jump the line and invest on a multi-platform, cross-platform strategy. And you can also, of course, expect to have a positive bleed effect where people who get the web version or PC version, likely will actually also download a mobile version. So, organics on your mobile download should increase as well. So, you're effectively increasing your mobile customer size, customer group as well. And then, try one interesting tidbit here is that you could also try targeting your lapsed spenders, so people who, for whatever reason, they stop playing the game. So when you have a new release of a new version that's playable on web or PC, obviously you can, if you know those players, you can look to kind of do some retargeting and target those players again and promote, over different social media ad channels that, hey, dude, you haven't played our game for a while. Check out the new web version. So that might be a good way to reactivate your player base. And financially, for a web version, I think just for financial expectations, what we've seen is that you can realistically expect to earn an extra 20 cents for each dollar earned for your mobile game. So basically, if you earn $1 on your mobile game, you can calculate that you're getting 20 cents of extra by having a web version. So that's like an interesting bit there. And one thing to note is that when you're adding a new version of your game, this will add live operations overhead. So think about like WebGL. I would just specifically that one. I would suggest considering it as like you have iOS, Android, and then you have WebGL. So you will have to size up in terms of live operations and obviously the porting. And you may need some help there. And there's definitely companies that can address that issue. And we've seen this be one topic always when you start talking about this. Okay, so remember, when you're going for web or PC, there's no platform tax. So this is an important thing to remember. For example, our commission at Xsolla is 5% versus App Store's 30%. So shameless plug there. Definitely something to consider in the business planning for doing cross-platform versions. And if you're interested of anything I've just discussed, I'm happy to answer more questions, even offline after this presentation. You can email me. I'm on the Discord at Pocket Gamer PG Connect's Discord. So you can find me there for any questions. I think that'll probably be the best way. Yeah. Thank you. Any
Hey,
questions?
Miikka, that was great. Yeah, and like I say, yeah, the Discord would be a great place to have a conversation. But we have a couple of questions which I can pose to you. I'm going to chuck one at you first, which is you're saying that you think WebGL is now ready for prime time. Do you think that there's a lot of developers out there who understand that it's come a long way, particularly on PC? I mean, it has come amazingly far. But I think there's still restrictions on the way some people use it on mobile because of some of the browser implications on, the way Apple handle things, usual stuff. Do you have any kind of particular views? I mean, what is it that we need to do to help people understand that, WebGL can be useful?
Yeah, I think the the market data that's about, like, for example, WebGL browser support and what is the consumer penetration there? Like, how many browsers you have installed all around the world that can render like WebGL in an effective way. So I think it's it's still relatively fresh, but like, for example, like I said, the example that I've seen is from one of our partners managed to do 20 cents for every $1 that they earned on mobile. So 20 cents on the web version means, and this is a game that has millions of downloads. So definitely there is the audience and the support is there. I think on the mobile side, mobile WebGL support, it's a little bit more difficult topic. I haven't researched into that, but certainly will now after this question.
Well, the thing in my head was always that there were two things that were problematic with WebGL. I mean, obviously there was a technical thing. I think that's separate. The ease to monetization, the frictionless monetization, wasn't something that was easily available. Now, I mean, obviously, I don't want to plug you guys because that's your job, but I mean, there are teams, you guys are now one of them. There are others out there. Obviously, other providers do exist who do make that process easy. And, if you can make that sign-up process and payment process simple, then it's no different from any other transaction you make online. I think that's something that I think a lot of people are worried about. And there is a genuine barrier because every time you get someone to fill a form in, they're going to not want to do it. The joy of being and also
absolutely. And also the big challenge there is that if you're selling directly your in-app purchases directly to your players in the web, you have a choice. Either you find a payment of record, like merchant of record, or then you act as your own merchant of record, which means that you might have to have legal entities in all over the world in places where you're just like, oh my God, this is too crazy for financial and logistical reasons. So, it's important to kind of find a partner there that can be merchant of record. The same thing that Apple or Google are doing. They're handling all the taxes and VAT stuff as well while processing that, which is not a trivial thing to.
No, it's not. And I was joking, and you had me laugh, obviously, because of the previous conversations that have happened around how large tech companies handle their tax issues. But that's a different subject. We're not going to get into. I'm sure that's all been solved by now. Let's talk instead about the question that Dorian has just asked, which is how do you look at the payment process? So is it not problematic? For example, I mean, I know an answer to this because I've done some stuff with blockchain, but I'm going to let you answer it. How do you avoid Apple getting annoyed that you're selling stuff outside of their app store?
No, that's actually fairly simple. So I mean, I'm not a legal expert, and take my word with just as a friendly advice. So I would just go check out the Apple App Store guidelines. So you go to section 3.1.3b, and you will see, you will actually see a section about multi-platform services. So essentially, what they state there, and I'm just paraphrasing what I've read, is that they state there that if you have a multi-platform version, obviously you can sell whatever you're selling on that other platform, as long as the same items are available for the players on the mobile version, right? And that there's no huge limited exclusives that you're selling on this other platform, that you should have all the content and things to buy also available on the mobile. And of course, you need to keep, generally a good rule is to I mean, you look at Steam, you look at other platforms as well beyond mobile. They have the same rules. The prices have to match for the players. The content has to pretty much match, and as well as promoting your users to go buy somewhere else outside of the platform, like even on Steam. You know, it's not a good idea, right? Like so you definitely want to, you know, keep the mobile players spending in your mobile, keep them happy there, but looking at this as a multi-platform strategy, it's as far as I can tell, there's no issues, and we've already, you know, had this ride with 2 large mobile publishers, so it's definitely possible.
Yeah, I mean, I worked on a blockchain title where we had items which are blockchain sold on the web, and they were usable in the game, but they were not sellable in the game because we couldn't obviously sell blockchain items in the game. But the key, as you said there, was it's a bit like books. You can have a bookstore and have books that aren't available in the actual app itself to be purchased. You can't promote them. That's the key thing.
Yeah,
you can't
exactly. You have to be careful with the promotion, like cross-promoting different stuff in a different platform. I mean, technically, you should always try to contain your players in one platform instead of try to like make them go back and forth. Obviously, that's not good for
we
player
know that
experience
people
either.
do. People, like you said earlier, people do go and use their PC in some circumstances when they go, but they're the minority of players, and generally a player will have a device they go to for that particular game. Right. So one quickie. Oh, actually, it's actually an answer to the. Oh no, there is a question here. I slipped ahead. So the question was from Haristo: where do you see the mobile game industry 10 years from now?
Where I see the mobile game industry 10 years from now, I see it more as you know, there's going to be less talk about like platforms. It's basically distributing your game is going to be distributed to all the screens out there. And I foresee a future where that will be, you know, easier to do, and it will be a self-evident thing. Like if you contain your game to be mobile only, then you really have to have a good reason for it, like controls or something it's exclusive to that platform, that game. And I think, you know, I see the future being way more cross-platform from the get-go. The tools that we have available will be better, so that you can basically have your gaming experience on any device that you're looking, any screen that you're looking. It will just be available there. And I think the technology to enable that will get so much better that in 10 years, we won't even think about platforms. We will just, that's a game and it's accessible everywhere.
Exactly. I mean, I'm just thinking about the Xbox Game Pass on Android, which I am absolutely in love with, because I can basically take my Razer controller and I can play Skyrim completely off the bat of my phone without even blinking. Oh my God, I've got to have a decent connection. Fair enough. But it's not just about streaming, but it's about this accessibility and realizing that content is about the moment of play for the player, not about what platform we happen to build it on. But what I love about it from a live ops point of view is that actually the same stuff to manage a PC or a console or a mobile game at the back end is the same stuff.
Yeah.
And whether you're using WebGL, whether you're using on the other platform, doesn't matter. The important thing, as you said, it's got to be a game experience that's going to work on those other platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I hope to see a future where developers don't also need to think about too much of the overhead, you know, the porting and the live ops, that things will get easier, where the business decision to put your game available for more and more people will be just so good that it's a, you know, this is something where the industry still needs to develop.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes us being able to monetize it. And I think, you know, the next thing will be how we're going to see advertising working cross-platform, but that's a different subject for another time. Awesome. I'm not sure anyone's dealing with that one yet. But Miikka, always a pleasure, sir. Lovely to see you. Hopefully we'll be grabbing a beer together again soon.
Yeah, look forward to it.
Cheers, man. Take care.